Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I'm your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, with my all-time favorite, most wonderful co-host, Jen Albanese. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Maury. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. How we
Well,
doing today?
we're doing really well because I know today is someone that's very special in your
Oh,
heart.
so
He's near and dear to
excited.
you,
He
Rahul
is.
Dua, who
I know.
has made his way from working with us as an intern and now works in professional sports with sports in Detroit, but right now with the Red Wings and doing some amazing things in professional sports. So always
Yes.
great to see people branch out
I
and
know.
just take their skills and fly.
I'm so proud of him. Like, it's just so great when you have someone that works with you as an intern and then you see them do so well. And, he's only been in the professional space for a few years. So it'll be cool to hear his tips and tricks for students, just kind of getting out of college and kind of the road to jobs in this industry. So it'll be a really good
And not only
conversation.
is he, but he's been promoted a few times
Yeah,
just being
yeah,
out there. So he's such a good
exactly.
example of someone that like jumps into the industry and is finding success because he's doing things the right way and
Exactly.
and moving himself up. And so,
Yeah.
we've been talking to a lot of students lately. We've been very fortunate to do a couple classes lately. And I feel like that's one of the big things that we talk about, right? Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
how do you break in or what do you do? And I feel like he's such a great example of that.
Yeah, it has been cool because we have had the opportunity to talk to some local college classes here at Syracuse and in the area. And we're going to do some high school classes too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the questions for students and it's kind of just the understanding of what the sports industry
Yeah.
actually is and like what our jobs actually entail. So hopefully the podcast, and obviously we're gearing them towards the podcast to listen and listen to the guests that might interest them. But we also tell them, like, don't just, oh, you want to go into sales. You're only going to listen to the people that we've had who've done
Yeah.
sales. Like, you want to be able to listen to the sports architects and the coaches that we've talked with because they all have their own spin on kind of breaking into the industry and that experience piece that's so key. So,
Yeah, we've even talked to a lot of people professionally lately that it's like, hey, I'm in the profession and this has been really helpful and crossover. And I think what you learn, especially like having these conversations with these students, are like how much knowledge you get out of the experience of things and hearing how people's perspectives are different, and then how that goes across the industry, how it goes across this whole kind of concept of working in like an athletics world. And, so I feel like there's been some great questions lately,
yeah.
like that I just
Yeah, because you
can't.
always think when you go to a class, like you're going to stand there and it's going to be like crickets, and the professor's going to be like, "I have a question," and you're kind of like, "Oh, this is so."
Well, we've
But
had those before too.
we have. But the last few,
Yeah.
we've done a few in the last few weeks. It's been very like engaging, and the questions have been great. Like, tell us about what your favorite part of your job is, and like, what's some challenges that you face. And I know those are common questions, but like those really tell you about what we do, which is good. So
I
it
remember
has
someone
been.
asked, like, what do you do when a sport's not successful? And I was like, what
Yes.
an
Oh,
interesting
that
question.
was that was
And
really good.
I was thinking, like, that's so interesting. And, like, how, yeah, it does really affect certain things that
Mm-hmm.
you don't think about. And, like, what a engaging kind of way to ask something. A lot of good students. So, all you students out there that we haven't made it to your classes yet, get those, like, high quality questions ready for us
Yeah,
because
we
we
will
love
come in.
answering those trick
Those trick
questions.
questions. Yeah, we'll definitely come and speak to any classes or that are willing. So you can obviously reach out on social or email
Yeah.
us and go to our website at athcareer.com. Correct? Is that it?
Yes.
So if you have if you're interested in that, we're happy to do that. But Raul, like you said, is such a great example of students taking that right path, and that's what we're here to do, to kind of help those students along on that path. So
Yeah, find ways to engage. Might not be everyone doesn't have to do it the same way. You just got to do it.
exactly. And Raul, oh, just love him so much. I'm so
Well,
excited to
we
talk
don't
to
want to
him.
hold everyone back from Jen's precious Rahul.
I know.
So
We
we
love
will.
him so much.
So after these messages, we will be right back.
Are you a loyal 5 Tips and Tricks podcast listener? If not, now is the time to start. Get all your info and fun content on the podcast by following us on all our social channels at @AthCareerPod. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting. Make sure to reach out to us. The one-stop shop for everything is our website, www.athcareer.com. Remember, follow and like us on @AthCareerPod, rate and review us, and get all your info at www.athcareer.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Maury, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Absolutely. Today we're joined by a professional with an impressive background in sports marketing and sales. Currently serves as account executive in corporate sales at Ilitch Sports Entertainment in Detroit, an organization that supports the Detroit Red Wings, Detroit Tigers, Olympia Parking, and the Detroit District Detroit. Our guest holds a degree in sports management from Syracuse University with a minor in marketing. Before making waves at Ilitch Sports Entertainment, he gained valuable experience in various sports marketing roles, including as a marketing intern at Syracuse University, where he coordinated promotions and games, presenting for volleyball team, and assisting with game operations for Syracuse football. His journey also included stints with the Detroit Lions, where he supported the youth football camps and managed social media content, as well as with Learfield, where he assisted with sponsorship activations for Syracuse Athletics. Joining us is Rahul Dua, sharing his insight in the world of sports marketing, sales strategy, and exciting opportunities that come with working in sports and entertainment industry. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you for
You forgot to add one of my all-time favorites. All-time favorites right here. Oh my God, all-time favorites. Hello,
miss you guys.
Sir, I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you guys back at Cuse, and good to see everybody doing well and everything. But excited to join with you guys today and hopefully share a few tidbits about my journey, see if I can help anybody along the way.
Well, we love when people leave the nest and go off and do amazing things and go outside and just do new stuff, especially in areas like pro sports, and just doing like what you're doing is so impressive. So we're really excited to hear from you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We're just so proud of you, Rahul, like a proud mom over here. Hopefully you got some good experience with us, and now knowing how good you're doing, and hopefully you're enjoying that, and it's keeping you busy, and glad you could find some time to chat with us. So.
Yeah, busy man. So we can't hold you anymore, Rahul. Let's get it. Number one tip.
Number one. Here we go. So, I mean, basically these will all kind of evolve into each other because honestly, with what I've found in the sports industry is that a lot of the jobs are very similar and it's a very small industry that we work in. So I'm hoping that it can kind of apply to everything. So without further ado, my first tip is I call it control the controllables. So in sports, I mean, the biggest thing about sports that we know is the outcome is the one thing we can't control. We don't know if our team's going to win. We don't know if we're going to lose. We don't know how things are going to go on a day-to-day basis. But I found that by controlling what I can control, that's what gives me the best opportunity to succeed. Excuse me. So I think for me, the big two things are attitude and hard work. I mean, those are the two things where nobody can really take them away from you. You're the only one that can't really bring them to the table on a day-to-day basis. And that's ultimately what ends up hurting you. I think by bringing a positive attitude to the table every day, kind of, again, you don't know what's going to get put on your desk at work that day, but just given that mindset of being able to conquer anything, working your tail off in order to get the intended outcome. I think that's what's gotten me to this point in my career thus far. It really is a controlled variable that I think effort is. And if you bring your A game every day, there's really nobody that can stop you but yourself.
Yeah. I think, Rahul, about you working with one team in particular, and like they were just struggling and it was just very hard. It didn't matter. You were going to put on a smile. You were going to like put every effort into it. And though that team just could not feel like they were being successful, you put everything you had into making it a good experience with them. And I thought that I will always be impressed by that.
I think too.
No,
go ahead. No, go.
I was just going to say, ultimately most of the teams that I've worked for at this point in my career, like, unfortunately, they're not championship teams yet. Like when I worked for the Lions, it was before, they were really all that good. Some of the teams that I work with right now, not really on the championship spectrum yet, but like I said, at the end of the day, that's not why we're in it. Obviously, it's a really nice kind of side effect to be able to contribute to a winning culture, but I think in terms of giving the fans the best experience, giving the people around you the best experience, it all boils down to a positive attitude and hard work.
And what I was going to say was learning that early in your career is really important. And you're a younger professional in this industry, so we wanted people to hear from someone younger, kind of a few years out of school, and being able to give that tip right off the bat is really good to learn when you're just starting out, because you can't teach the attitude and the willingness to work hard. Like, you think you can, but it sets you apart from people across the spectrum. Again, doesn't matter what area of sports you're in, it sets you apart that you're working hard and you have a positive attitude, because most people don't have that. So that's really good to know, especially at the early onset of your career. So
And I think at
that's
the
a
end of the
good
day
point.
too, like at the early onset of your career too, like you mentioned, it's the way it kind of rolls out. You're not doing the most glamorous things. You really have to build a
Right.
name for yourself and kind of build that body of work to the point where folks trust you. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's not all that easy to be like when I was working for the Lions, we were picking up cones and signing people into events, and when I was with you, Jen, I was rolling T-shirts and tossing T-shirts to fans. But that's what it's all about. And I think, like you said, if you can keep a smile on your face, it really sets you apart, because the reality is not a lot of people will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I go back to like that comment about the team, and like so many people would take it personally, right? Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like they're hard on me because,
Mm-hmm.
it's me, I'm not doing it right. And, just to have that mindset of like, I'm going to do the best I can for them and look at it as like, okay, well, this isn't about me. This is about their performance. And so I'm going to separate that out from the work that I'm doing. And like, that's just something that you can control, right? You can't control how they're doing, but you can control what you're putting into it. And I think that's so admirable and such a good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Love it. Love it. Good one. Good one.
Okay, great one to start off with. What do we got for number two?
Moving on to the next one. So this next one, I kind of tried to come up with just a little catchphrase for each of my tips, and the one here is always be on. I think it's about always putting your best foot forward at work, and it kind of goes into the last one too. But you're not always going to be doing what you want to do. You're not always going to be doing what's in your job description too. Again, that's the thing about sports. It's like a big startup where everybody's putting on a lot of hats and everybody's doing what they need to do to put the product on the field or on the court. So I think in terms of always being on, it's about always being your best. I wear a suit and tie to work every day because I'm in sales at this point. But if I let myself get down about it, I would get down about it. You really just have to put your best foot forward and do your best whenever you can, because, and this goes into the second part of it, you really never know who's watching. I think, especially in sports, a big part of it is you're working long hours. You're sometimes working on the weekends. You don't always want to be there. Sometimes you'd rather be with your family or on the couch watching TV. But the reality is, if you can always put your best foot forward, I think it gets noticed. I actually have a story here to kind of prove my point. The I started in inside sales with the Red Wings and the Tigers, where it's a lot of outbound calling. It's a lot of trying to create your book of business and kind of starting from the ground up. And again, we go into the part about the job description and not always doing what's in the job description. A part of the inside sales team is kind of doing the things that we need done that other people don't have time for. So we do giveaways at games where folks buy a jersey and we do the giveaway, and it's kind of a charade to have the fans coming up and give them out. But actually the day before I got promoted, I ended up working one of those giveaway kiosks with my future director. It just so happened that we were working at the same table, and in at the point where he promoted me, it was something that he mentioned where he said the fact that you kind of put your duties aside for the good of your teammates and for the good of our organization, that's what we want in our teammates. So after he said that, it kind of stuck with me, and it said something, it's not all that hard for me to do, but if I can do it and it gets noticed, it's definitely something that I see the value in moving forward. So a big proponent of always putting your best foot forward.
That's such validation that like your tip came to fruition.
It worked,
so
right? It worked.
That's great. Yeah, we always joke about other duties as assigned. I mean that you've heard me joke about it, Rahul, and Maury and I say it all the time. Like, what's in my job description is not necessarily what I'm doing every day, and that's you got to be okay with that. And if you like you said, you have that good attitude about it, like people are going to notice that, just like, and you get a promotion from that, and that's part of it. So, the other duties as assigned is something for people to really pay attention to and understand that that's going to happen and be okay with it.
Yeah, no, 100% would be that point about the other duties as assigned because, yeah, like we said, it takes and you guys know even better than I do, just in the scope of your guys' roles, but it takes so much to put on a successful live sporting event. And from the amount of people involved to the amount of responsibilities involved to just everything. So I think if you can be of value in a place where they aren't really expecting you to be of value, it only gets noticed that much more. And it goes back to that growth mindset. Like ultimately, I'm just starting out in my career. I don't even know exactly where I want to go yet, but you go to the point where every kind of move you make and everything you do, every responsibility you have, it's for the purpose of growth, right? It's moving forward with everything you do, and it's getting more experience under your belt so that you know how to kind of deal with the next situation too.
Yeah.
No, it's great. And I think that's such a good point about like, you never know what's going to lead you to that next thing. And like so many times in my career, something that I really did not think was going to be, change my trajectory or my responsibilities always happen in those times where you're just kind of doing something to help others and, be a part of it. And it opens up a new opportunity and people appreciate you. And that's about the person who you are or how you act, not necessarily just about the act of things. And it shows so well with what your experience was and a great story of like what it means to be in that mindset. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Love it.
Moving
Another
on.
Fantastic one.
Number 3.
I'm loving it.
Number three.
So number 3, and this kind of goes right back to my experience at Syracuse. I was so grateful to have a Division I and premier in across America athletic department right in my backyard for my 4 years of college. Whether it's at school, whether it's when you're young and you're even in high school and you have an interest in sports and it's something you want to do, I think getting involved in one way or the other is the most important thing. Again, in college, it's not always the easiest thing to do. There were some days where it's like, darn, I have to work tonight, but again, you got to do it. And it's something that really sets you apart. It's something that in most American schools, most Division 1, 2, 3 schools, there are opportunities to get involved kind of tenfold across the campus, across everything that everybody does. I actually started with Learfield, and then it moved to Jen's team. And then on the professional side, I started with the Lions. And you mentioned more in kind of the youth education, social media aspect. It's not all that much of my strong suit, or it wasn't at the point, but and it wasn't all that comfortable either. It's, taking my summer break away from me being at home, and maybe I actually ended up living with my grandparents that summer, which was just a little bit out of my comfort zone. But it's the type of thing where, it's not always easy to go and take the leap and get involved. But that's the type of experience that sets you apart. I mean, if you can go into the job market and already have, 2, 3, even one really good thing on your resume that gives you that experience that sets you apart. Again, most of the people don't end up doing it in college. So it's a really, really good way to set yourself apart.
Did you know you wanted to do professional sports, or you just knew that you wanted to be in athletics when you were working with us?
It's a great question. So growing up, I've always been around sports. My dad has worked for Nike for the majority, most of my life, all of my life. And just being kind of around that in Portland, in Oregon, and just being around his job and everything that he did when he would come home and talk about the cool things that happened at work. It was something that I always took a liking to. So I was always the guy who was watching sports, watching Sports Center, knew a bunch of random stats about random players, but at the end of the day, that's not what sports is. I think that that is definitely a misconception, but it really feeds into that passion side of things, right?
Yeah.
If you have that passion and you care what's going on, I think it's really easy to get involved. At Syracuse, obviously, it's my alma mater now, but I was a student there, and it was really really cool for me to be involved and walk the same hallways as Coach Boeheim and all those folks. So I think I still don't even know if I want to be in professional sports. I'm not one to pigeonhole myself, but
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, sports is something that I love, and this will go into another one of my tips. But letting the passion shine through is just a super big thing. If you apply that to how you work, it's all that you can do.
Yeah.
No, awesome.
I like that you said to like to get that experience right in your own backyard, because I think people take that for granted. I think I see that all the time at Syracuse, even Syracuse students or local students in the area taking for granted that they have a Division I school right in their backyard to be able to get that experience. And that is going to set you apart. Even just working a game day and understanding kind of what that entails and what that takes, whether it's on the marketing side or the sales side or the facility side or the creative side or whatever, being able to say that you worked a game day and saw what that's about, that automatically sets you apart. And when it's right in your own backyard, like literally down the street from your dorm, to not take advantage of that is crazy.
It's
So that's such a good point. And I think students today don't think about it. I think they just want to like, I want to go away. I want to go far from campus, or I want to go somewhere else. And that's great too, to have those ambitions, but don't take for granted what you have right in your own backyard, D1, D2, or D3 for that matter. It's right there at your fingertips to get that experience that's so overlooked sometimes.
I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, Jen, with the Falk Sport Management program, there is a capstone program where
Mm-hmm.
it's a semester of work to try to get you
Yeah.
involved and acclimated with the field that you want to be in. For me, I saw it as, here's this great opportunity to work on this great team right in my backyard and knock out this
Yes,
for
right.
me. What
It's a
could go
great
better?
team.
So, yeah, I had
Well,
to throw that little plug in. But I think it was super logical for me to just make it make sense and kind of
Mm-hmm.
lean right into that. As you know, Jen, I started with Learfield, and that was on campus.
Yep.
I was doing quad giveaways, but I would show up to
Yeah.
work and I would go home, and it gave me a sense of what a game day felt like and what it took to
Mm-hmm.
be on your feet all day and wear a
Mm-hmm.
credential and all that type of stuff. So I think the more experience, the better. That's what I'm getting at here.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that was one of the reasons I asked the question, because I think we've had students before be like, oh, well, I want to work in professional sports, or I want to do this sport or that, and don't realize, like you said, that there's so many different facets and overlap of what we do for game production or how things operate in a athletic business, and how that can be so applicable to have that experience, whether your long-term goal is to be working a professional sport like you do, like with professional sports like you do now, or in a college setting, or even like whatever, recreation, high schools. Like there's a lot of things that you're going to get out of just being in the environment, gaining from it. And I find
Yeah.
it like so fascinating that you're an example of it. Like you put yourself in the position to be successful, get some things that you clearly like. Your ability to get promotion is because you did that stuff with Jen, and that's like that's a part of how it works. I know that from my experience on the ground. So I think that's just such a great example.
And I think just one more point here. I think it goes back to that growth mindset that I was talking about. Like a lot of people just want to hop right to the point where they want to
Mm-hmm.
be without skipping the steps. Obviously, we all have dreams and aspirations and want to be in certain positions, but you can't ignore the hard work that goes into getting there. I think I go at it with an approach of stacking these good experiences on top of each other, and then ultimately hopefully that culminates in my dream job down the road. But I think you just got to take it step by step and keep growing on the skill set that you have, rather than you know looking for like this title or this opportunity and stopping at nothing for it. I think it makes more sense definitely to just keep stepping up, and then ultimately you'll be at your goal faster than if you would have just spent the whole time waiting and searching for it.
Awesome.
100%. Okay.
Okay, good
Now,
Cool. Here
one.
we go. Keep it moving.
Number
four.
four,
Yep,
Number
number
Four.
four. Number four.
So number four for me is you're in sports for a reason. You got to cherish it, right? I was talking about kind of the passion that I grew up with for sports. It was more of like, I mean, I think a lot of people grow up wanting to, doing the my GM mode on NBA 2K for a real life job, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's not all that realistic. I got to the point where you have to have a certain background, you have to start very early for that type of deal, but at the end of the day, my passion for sports is still here. As I am right now, I think the passion for sports has only multiplied and doubled since I kind of started working in it. I think if you apply that passion to your day to day, and really care about what you're doing, it really shines through, and it makes the job easier too. And I also kind of talked about what it takes to put on a live event, and the fans are such a big part of it, right? The fans, I think, just being in a very fan facing role at this point now, I truly believe the fans deserve our best and our passion when we go and work a game
Absolutely.
day. If I'm interacting with a fan, I feel an obligation to help their experience rather than hurt it. And I think applying my passion to that day to day is a really good way to do it. In my role now, like I said, I work a lot just directly with clients, and by just kind of putting those tidbits in, or if I have a passion for something that I know they're going to have a care for too, going the extra mile to make it happen for them. It's such a special job and industry that we work in. We're not filing taxes. We're not, putting bricks down or whatever. Like we are around sports, and we're around the things that we care about. So I think applying that to the day to day makes it go by a hell of a lot faster, but also makes the experience better for everybody.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think in sports, I say this all the time. My crew says it all the time. Like, we're creating moments for people. Like, we're trying to help them forget for a few hours about their problems and their bills or whatever else they have going on in their life, to come and cheer for one thing as a group of people collectively. And when you think about it that way, like, that's pretty awesome that we
Yeah.
have that kind of impact on people. And that and you got to be able to have a passion for that and understand that to really want to be in this industry, because you said it earlier, you're working nights, you're working weekends, you might not want to be there. Like, you got to love it in order to stay with it, because it's not easy, but we're also not saving lives by any means, and it is pretty cool what we get to do though. So
No, I
yeah.
couldn't agree more. It's not, and that's a good way to put it. It's not easy, but the fact that kind of we get to be involved in it, and have also kind of have a responsibility in giving the
Mm-hmm.
fans those experiences, I think it is really important. Like I said, now in my role, like if I know that a fan's coming down or a client's coming down with a kid, like it doesn't take that much to grab a bobblehead for them on the way out the door, and put that smile on their face. So I think if we all kind of know about sports, and we're very knowledgeable about sports, and just by applying our passion to the passion of the fans that they obviously have, given that they're kind of at the game and spending their hard-earned money on tickets, I think they deserve our best foot.
Awesome.
100%. 100%.
Great tip.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay. Finish it up,
All
Jen.
right,
Last one.
last one, Rahul. So, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? So, what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
Sure. So for me, and this one, when I was kind of starting, and this honestly doesn't even go back to my career. It kind of goes back to me going to Syracuse even. Um, it's about being comfortable outside of your comfort zone. Obviously, I didn't really know it at that point because it was just all I knew. I was kind of just
Mm-hmm.
taking everything by the horns, and doing what I can. But I had to be comfortable being uncomfortable in order to go to Syracuse. I mean, I came from Portland, Oregon, flew across the country, one way ticket, living out there alone. I knew one person. And that kind of, it was a leap that I took, and obviously it paid off. You can't be afraid of failure, I think, is the big thing. Failure is it's inevitable. I mean, and especially in an industry like sports, stuff's going to happen. things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go a different way than you would have envisioned. I think it's rolling with the punches, not being afraid of those maybe negative outcomes in the moment, and flipping them into something positive. This also goes back to me leaving Syracuse when I graduated. I had a couple of different opportunities across the country. Again, sports is kind of that industry where I truly believe you can't really be all that picky when you're starting out. It's just about really getting that experience under your belt and trying to build on it. But I went to Detroit, where my grandparents live about an hour away from where I live downtown. But again, very unfamiliar territory. At living in an apartment for the first time on my own, didn't really know anybody my age. Really didn't know what I was expecting either with sales. I think I never really wanted or knew that I wanted to do sales. I was always like, ooh, talking off a script. I don't know if I could do that. It doesn't sound all that appealing to me. It's not that. Sales isn't that. But I think by getting out of my comfort zone, by taking that leap, by showing up that first day, not really knowing what I was going to expect, but just rolling with the punches, having a failure here and there, growing from it. I think it gave me so much confidence and so much power for myself to keep going. You know, like at this point now, I am of the mindset where any job I take, any new role, any new opportunity, um, even if it's not maybe ideal or on paper, it's not what I'm thinking. If it's worth it, it's worth it. And I think if you're not afraid to fail, you really have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, you have the confidence in yourself now because you've done something that you might not be super comfortable with. Like we've said this with a bunch of different guests, like being comfortable, being uncomfortable, I guess, like you
Be
said.
comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Be
Yeah.
comfortable outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, absolutely.
And as soon as you understand that, like that gives you the confidence to try anything and challenge yourself. So again, like you're young now. I keep saying you're young because I know but like learning all of this at this point and so early on in your career is only going to help you be successful as you move forward. And the sooner that you learn these things and you're able to look back and reflect, like that is so key to help keeping you grow your career. So hopefully anybody who's listening, anybody young starting out, like Rahul, you're a perfect example of like how to push forward in sports. And again, it goes across all the different parts of sports, and sales is just where you landed. But I think that that's such a good point of like not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to move somewhere where you're not comfortable with or you don't know anybody.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like I was saying, that's where the growth comes from, right? Like when
Mm-hmm,
when you're a fish out of water, when you don't really know
mm-hmm,
what maybe tomorrow is going to entail, or you don't really like. I walked in the first day probably with a somewhat different idea of what I do than what I do now. But
mm-hmm.
it's about getting out of your comfort zone, and again, that's where the growth happens when you're uncomfortable, whether you like it or not. That's it's like running. Nobody likes to do it, but that's where the growth happens. So I think,
We talk about running all the time, Rahul.
Yeah.
We both
yep,
dislike it, but
yep.
we do
Yes.
Yeah,
it.
You
you
got to
have
do it though.
to do it, right? Like it's something that you never like to take those leaps of faith where you could definitely crash and burn. But at the end of the day, also when you do take that leap, like I kind of invested in myself and said, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to Detroit. If I fail, I fail. But like I signed a lease. Like I kind of
Yep.
have to make do
I'm
here
here.
I'm in
I'm
it.
here.
be
Yeah.
uncomfortable. So yeah, if you just have that mindset, like, hey, this is what the deal is now. I don't have an option to fail. Yes, some small failures will happen along the way, but if you get out of the comfort zone and make it so you're kind of betting on yourself, I think it's all the more advantageous.
Well, Raul, those are amazing words of wisdom. All of our followers are going to love hearing from you, and I know especially those people just coming up, like saying, "Hey, how do I get into this world of sports, and what does it mean?" Will definitely take away so much. So, thank you for your time.
Absolutely,
Yes.
guys.
And
Thank you so much for having me on, and looking forward to being a resource for listeners or anybody in the industry in the community and moving forward.
well, you're a
Awesome.
perfect example, Raul. So thank you for all of your hard work always. And I'm so proud of you. And just so happy that we got to chat with you. I miss you and just super proud of you. So
Miss
proud.
you guys too. Thanks so much. Hey, it all started in that building, so I will never forget
It
that. I
did.
appreciate you guys.
Hey, I mean, this is where I feel the most accomplishment when I see somebody that I had under me and was able to work with me and see how successful that you are and you're gonna continue to be. Like that's the greatest accomplishment for me. I know that I do my job and I enjoy it, but seeing the people that I'm able to help mentor become what you guys are becoming, especially you, Rahul, you stand out always is just such an honor for me. So happy for you and so proud.
I appreciate you guys.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for all of our followers and listeners, don't forget to make sure that you like and follow us on all our platforms. Jen, want to throw that out there?
Yep. So you can listen to all of our episodes on all your podcast platforms. New episodes drop on Tuesdays, and follow us on all our socials at Ath Career Pod. So yeah, keep in touch with us. And this was great. Thank you again, Rahul.
Thanks, Rahul, and see everybody soon.
Bye.
Bye. If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.